The First World War was a conflict of great change. Not only were new weapons introduced, which changed the face of battle forever, but the armies involved in the fighting also evolved through tactical innovation into modern military forces, and none more so than the British soldier after 1916. The Battle of the Somme was the high watermark for the previous tactical training that was used by the British Army. Throughout this campaign, tactics evolved and lessons were learned from the fighting between July and November. These lessons were codified in the training pamphlet SS-143, the training of platoons for offensive action. This was produced by the Stationary Service, hence the SS prefix, in February of 1917 prior to the Battle of Arras. It emphasised the platoon as the main aspect of tactical battlefield manoeuvre. This devolution of command from battalion to platoon marked a major shift in how the British Army fought on the ground. The British Army had always previously emphasised the man-on-the-spot style of command as laid out in the pre-war field service regulations. However, SS-143, the platoon was now given the tactical flexibility to act beyond the range of the artillery. Artillery was the king of the battlefield in the First World War, causing far more casualties than all the other weapons put together. Yet it still had its limitations. Trenches and concrete bunkers were constructed to defend against it. When battlefield successes allowed for the rapid forward movement of ground troops, it was difficult for the artillery to catch up over the sometimes broken ground. Also, this required the whole process of registering the guns to begin again, losing valuable time. This was encountered again and again during the campaign on the Somme, with artillery support sometimes being unreliable after the initial attack. What was needed was a localised support to allow the soldiers to continue moving forward. With the development of trench warfare early in the First World War, it was necessary to develop weapon systems that would break the deadlock. Heavy machine guns such as the Vickers were already in use, but favoured the defender over the attacker. They were also spread too thin across a battalion to add much local firepower. This changed with the invention of the Lewis light machine gun in 1915. Here was a man-portable weapon that could be carried to where it was needed and give the required firepower to suppress enemy troops. Along with machine guns, hand grenades, or bombs as they were also known in the British Army, were developed to help with the fighting within trenches. The Mills bombs were a particularly reliable weapon for this purpose, and production of it was massively increased throughout 1915 and 1916. Adding range to grenades was helped by the development of rifle grenades, a very simple addition to a rifle which allowed for firing the grenade a further distance than before. SS-143 built on the development of the infantryman's arsenal by dividing the platoon into 4 sections of 8 to 10 men and giving them specialist weapons for specific tasks. Heavy machine guns were reorganised into the Machine Gun Corps and removed from battalions completely. The Lewis gun became the firepower centre point of the new platoon organisation. Initially, 1 Lewis gun would be placed in a section of 8 men. This was later increased to 2 Lewis guns by late 1917 as more became available, adding even more firepower to the formation. The Lewis section was intended to move forward to a position to lay down suppressing fire to allow the rest of the platoon to attack their objectives, and then move to a flanking position to allow the advance to continue. Localised artillery support came in the form of the Rifle Grenadier section, made up of 4 firers and 4 loaders. This section would be able to lay down an explosive barrage on the objective. The 2 final sections of the platoon were split between riflemen and bombers. Both of these were intended to work their way towards the objective under the covering fire of the Lewis and Rifle Grenadier sections. Then they would engage the enemy directly with bayonets and flush out trenches and strong points with the grenades. Training and the new use of the platoon was key, and its successful use was shown during the Battle of Vimy Ridge in April 1917. The 14th Battalion of the Canadian Corps came under heavy fire from a German machine gun position. The Canadians had no artillery support, and communications with the rear were proving difficult in the heat of battle. Using the lessons in SS-143, they took the German position by using the combination of the Lewis gun giving covering fire whilst the bomb and bayonet did the rest. The Canadian commander Currie was so impressed with the new platoon tactical doctrine that he ordered the entire Canadian Corps to be trained with SS-143 from that point forward. The successful use of SS-143 was not just a Canadian one. Another example comes from the 25th of November 1917. The 1st 4th London Battalion attacked a German-held position and with covering fire from the Lewis gun captured it with a combination of rifle and grenade attacks. Also, during the Battle of the Scarpe on the 29th of August 1918, the 5th Duke of Wellington's regiment executed a successful attack which captured the German position within an hour. These are just 2 examples of thousands which use a training pamphlet to allow successful attacks on German positions which would have previously proven difficult. It was adequate training that was key to success with SS-143, and even in 1918, unfortunately, its full potential was not being realised by some units. Many soldiers were needed to repair roads, bring forward supplies, dig new trenches for telephone wires and 1,000 other jobs that needed to be done in preparation. These units suffered the most for not being trained in the new platoon level tactics. That said, the publication of SS-143 was a massive step forward for the British Army in its devolution of command. The tactical changes in the platoon level of battlefield command are still felt today. SS-143 could be said to be the foundation upon which all modern tactical training is laid.